All right, guys, I'm back out here again. We got our graduation party taken care of. Sadie and I got the garage cleaned up, so it's time to tear back into this Mustang and figure out what's going on with the vibration. I had a buddy come over and we looked it over, checked the carb tuning, checked the firing order, just to make sure something stupid's not going on, making it vibrate more. All that checked out, and I guess I'm looking for things to keep me from tearing that transmission back out. So what I just did here is I pulled the harmonic balancer off, verified it's the right one, 28 ounce. I guess one thing I did see, if you remember, I had to put some washers behind that bolt to get it tightened up, and I don't know how well you can see it here, but that keyway is hammered out. Not great, but I don't think that's really the problem. I probably should replace this. The rubber's kind of shot, but I really don't think that specifically is the problem, because again, that's been there. What I did do is I went on eBay and I found kind of somebody selling a new old stock Motorsports 28 ounce 157 tooth flywheel. So I went ahead and bought it. If I'm going to tear this thing back apart, I got to have something else to put in there that tries to fix the problem. So I just had this here, verified the part number is what it's supposed to be. This looks right. I grabbed this 50 ounce one that I had sitting here in my part stash to compare to, but all this looks fine with a harmonic balancer. So yeah, I guess unfortunately we're gonna jack this thing back up and pull the transmission back out and figure out what's going on. It's not right, and I don't want to drive it too much like the way it is. So all right, here we go. All right, before I stick this bolt back in the harmonic balancer, I want to show you how much slop there is in that keyway. It's not great, but again, I don't really think that a couple degrees of rotation there is going to throw this thing out of balance as far as it seems like it is. So I'm going to stick the bolt back in there, fan belt back on, and then jack the car back up. Well, it didn't take very long. I tore everything apart here, got the transmission just slid back. Everything up to this point's looked good. I'm going to check those bolts in a second, but they seem tight. What seems maybe weird is that pilot bearing. I don't know if I beat the hell out of that when I was putting it in there or what, but it looks kind of mangled up. The backside of the clutch that would have been hitting it, though, looks fine. And the clutch is in there the right direction. So, I don't know. I'm going to put the impact on those bolts there and see if they're tight. Well, I've got the flywheel removed here. This is the one that I just pulled out of the car. See, it's got this narrow counterweight right here. This is a 50 ounce one, and so is this one. Just because I had two of them, I got them out. These holes I circled are the ones that are off center, so you can kind of line these eyeball. It's a little bit offset down through here, the center of the weight. Looks like that's about same here. This new one, it doesn't have a weight. It's just got a bunch of holes. So rather than putting an extra weight down here, it looks like they removed a bunch of weight up on top. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a shaft that fits tight to the center of these and put them on a motorcycle tire balancing stand and stick some magnet weights to the back side here and see if there's any difference with any of these. I got to go order a new pilot bearing. O'Reilly's didn't have one. So it's going to take me a couple days to get this back together anyway, so I got a little bit of time to mess around. Well, the only thing I can see here is that this pilot bushing was probably in there crooked. And you can see up here, it's a little bit all the way up there. If I spin it around, it's not a lot different, but just playing with it here on the bench, spinning around, I can see that it was in there crooked. All that damage is from me beating on it. He put it in there. So I probably got it drove in there crooked and thought it was fully seated and left it. I think, if I'm picturing this thing right, if that transmission shaft was in there and the flywheel spinning and the shaft isn't, that could be causing some vibration. But I think what I'm gonna do is see if I can mess around. I don't know if I have time to do it. See if I can mess around checking the balance on these wheels, but I probably don't have time to do that. Throw a new pilot bushing in, put this new flywheel in, and go from there. All right, I'm back out here on a Saturday morning. I'm gonna try to figure out how to compare all these different flywheels. So what I've done here is I've got a motorcycle truing stand, tire truing stand, balance stand, which I can set anything on there, balance it. Made up this little hub adapter, which is gonna fit inside here. And got a bunch of magnetic drain plugs that I'm going to stick on there and try to compare balance weights. So what I've got, this is the flywheel that was in it. This is from Summit Racing, 28 ounce, 157 tooth. Should be good, but questioning it. I borrowed this one from a friend. He pulled this off his 66 Mustang with 289. So this is the proper piece, 28 ounce. This one over here is the Ford Motorsports one I bought, which is a little bit harder to tell because it doesn't have the counterweight area on it. It just looks like it's just drilled extra heavy up on top here. But I've got the offset hole marked so I can kind of eyeball align these. This last one, this is a 50 ounce, 5 liter HO one, just to kind of compare. So I know 28 ounces probably isn't gonna be what these magnets weigh, but I will stick them on there, just try to get a relative comparison. Then when I'm done with that, I've actually got the clutches I can bolt on there and see if these clutches are neutrally balanced as well. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing, but this is what I'm gonna try. So one interesting thing I've already done is laid a straight edge here, just eyeball aligned it with that casting mark on these two and drew a vertical line. I've already had this one on the truing stand just to see if everything is working. Interesting enough, if you just let the thing hang with no weights on it, this is where it wants to center, yet it looks like this other Sharpie line is the center of the counterweight. Same thing over here, I drew the center line, kind of lined up with the counterweight center. These two are going to be harder to find center on because this one has nothing really to reference. This one, the counterweight doesn't have a little line. So yeah, I guess I'm going to play around here a little bit and see what I can figure out. Well, here's the first one up on the stand. This is the original Ford 289 28 ounce. The center line I made here, I don't know how well you can tell on camera here, but it's leaning to the right just a little bit. And my eyeball center with a level is over there to the left just a little bit. So my next step here is I'm gonna stick magnets on it, and I know the distance matters. I guess I'm gonna try to line the weights up off this center line right on this rim and see how many it takes to get it to just neutrally balance here. This is kind of working. So what I did is I took the weights, the center line I drew, I put the first one there and then it went back and forth with all equal weights. So I don't quite all have the same weights, or same magnets, but right now, you can see it's trying to move a little bit. If I set it pretty much anywhere, it's pretty neutral. So this is pretty close. If I go over here, it'll sit there, maybe move slightly. Down here, that's moving pretty good there. So this bottom side is still a little heavy, but I'm close. Let me count them up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. 2 of these is 10. That 1, 11, and then these 2 guys and 2 little ones. I think I'm gonna redo this, but this time center them on that vertical mark I put on there. So sliding the whole group of weights over to the center line of where it hung just vertical, didn't really change it too much. I ended up taking those 2 little magnets off, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. So I think I'm gonna go through and do all of the flywheels this way, and then I'll probably go back over them and do them all with the clutch on. Yeah, sure. All right, here's the Summit one on here, and I guess the first thing I notice is with that mark through the center line of that casting there is no doubt that that is way off on an angle. I'm sure you can see that on here. This vertical line I put on here a little bit ago actually doesn't look, let it settle in again. I might have to remark that, but that's way different. So I'm gonna start sticking magnets on here and see how many this one takes. Well, as I just thought about what I just said, what I really need to do is figure out how to mark it relative to the offset bolt hole. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that. That could be, I need some sort of jig on there that centers off that I can draw a straight line from. Well, maybe I'll just do this for now while I think about it. I stuck the same number of weights on there, and these little guys aren't really strong enough, but this isn't even close. So if I let this go right now, that's a lot more weight down on the bottom. So with the same number of weights, that's way too many. So let me back off and see if I can get it to balance. All right, I got this one sitting pretty nice, so it pretty much will sit wherever I put it. Sits nice right about there. I did have to move my center. It's over here, probably 1.5 inches. So I've got the one like that, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those, and then one little guy. So let me look at that up. That's probably, that's like 3 or 4 fewer magnets on here. And at some point here, I'll weigh them all, but just get a relative comparison. So this is kind of a big difference. It's off center from where that center of the counterweight is, and it's taking several less weights. So now let's go to the new Motorsports one. Here's the Motorsports guy. It looks like this USA stamping is probably supposed to be just about vertical. So instead of having a big weight down on the bottom, looks like they drilled out a bunch of holes up on the top. So I think what I'm going to do is start centering weights on that ring from wherever it sits and see what happens. Mr. Motorsports here looks a lot like the stock one. I don't have it perfect yet, but it's in the ballpark. So I'm back to, what do I have? 8 of these little weak ones, the 1 flanged one, the 2 pole ones at each end, and then one of these super strong ones that are kind of a pain in the butt to work with, but it's close. I don't have it perfect, but it's close. So it's a lot closer to that stock one. It's just sitting here looking at it. I think if I use my straight edge and draw some lines based off this bolt, I can figure out kind of where this is off the center. So I think I'm going to lay my straight edge on here and draw some lines. It won't be off the offset bolt directly. Offset ones I got circled here, but I'll be able to work off that 3-bolt pattern and try to find the center. Here's what I'm talking about drawing lines here. So I've got my straight edge laying on the side of those 2 bolts. Put a Sharpie mark up there. Put this around the other side. Put a Sharpie mark right there. Now if I measure in between these marks, mark the center line there, center line there. Center line's going to be right about right there somewhere, but let's see, how does that line up to that bolt? Yeah, I don't know. Let me keep thinking here. Well, I spent a little bit of time here looking at this. I think I'm starting to get close to understand what's going on. So this line on each of these, the vertical line, or the straight line, sorry, that's the center with no weights on it at all. So if it sits there and hangs, that's the center line. This angled line over on the side, if I lay my straight edge across the bolt pattern, try to align that spot to the bolt pattern. See it on this Summit one, it's way off. So here's the Motorsports one, vertical line, angled line off the bolt pattern, pretty close down here at this ridge. Over here on this old Ford one, no weight line is kind of getting rubbed off there, but you can see it, and then the angled line. These two, Motorsports and this old Ford one, are really similar. So I think this center counterweight is off. Not only is it light, if you look at the number of weights it took, but it's not centered on the bolt pattern. That's given me more confidence to throw this on. I think the last thing I'm going to do is compare this old Ford one and this Motorsports one with the actual clutch bolted onto it. That clutch should be neutrally balanced from what I understand, so it shouldn't matter whether that's on there or not. Oh yeah, sorry for the science project here, but I think I'm getting close to having confidence to throw this one in and not have to be tearing it back apart. Moving on to more confusion here. So now I've got the Summit flywheel with the clutch on it, and I'm just about at the same number of weights that I had before. I can park this anywhere and it moves a little bit, pretty good. This dash line right there is now where it goes to zero balance. So let's see, I've got 8, these these ones, that center one, and just one of those other ones. All right, I'm gonna write that down and then swap it over to the Motorsports one, see what it looks like. Here's the Motorsports one without any weights on it yet, and it's hard to tell maybe on camera, but this used to be the hanging center, and right now it's just leaning a little bit over this way. So maybe that clutch does have a little bit of weight imbalance to it. All right, here's the Motorsports one with the clutch on the back side. Takes exactly the same amount of weights, and that's good. And this one actually is balanced really nice. Pretty much park it anywhere. Well, as soon as I say that, it starts rotating back, but it's pretty good. So that's good that it's consistent. So I think the last one will be that old Ford one, wherever that's at here in the pile. Well, it doesn't look like this is gonna work. I don't think that this old original Ford Flywheel has the same bolt pattern for the clutch. It's really close, but it doesn't line up. So that's, I can't check the balance with this one with the clutch on. So let's see, what am I gonna do next? I think what I'm gonna do, I haven't messed with this 50-ounce one yet. Let's see how many magnets that takes, and then we'll do some math and actually get a comparison here between 28 and 50-ounce wheels. So here's the 50-ounce wheel. I've got really basically the same amount of weights here. 8, the 1, 2 poles. Then I had to add, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of these little pole ones. I guess I'm calling these a pole because I got a thing sticking out of them. And then there's a couple more little magnets in here. So all right, I'm gonna write down what this is and then get the little gram scale out and weigh these things and see what the difference is. And I know the distance here makes a difference, but I don't know. Trying to be consistent and just talking grams and not distance plus grams. Here's a little shot of my scale setup. And I just made this table of all the measurements. I'm calling these, let's see, these guys here, the weak magnets, because they hardly stick to anything. This is the flange magnet, and this is the strong magnet because it sucks up everything. And these are the pole magnets, so whatever that means. But I guess what I see here is that the old Ford 289 one, the magnet weight's about 180 grams or 6.3 ounces. Summit one is really light, 115 grams, 4 ounces. Motorsports one's kind of in between. So they are all different. I don't know how accurate and repeatable my measurement system is here, or my math system, but I guess what all this has taught me is that I'm not trusting that cheap Summit one, and I'm gonna put this back together with this, this guy right here, this Motorsports clutch or Flywheel, this clutch. Clutch, again, didn't seem to have an imbalance in it. So I think I learned something. Hopefully I put all this back together and it's better. So that's the next step. Oh yeah, it's going back together, but I'm also gonna put a new pilot bearing in there too. That other one was kind of beat up. I'm gonna take this little sanding wheel, clean up the hole, make sure it goes in nice and straight and good. And hopefully, maybe by the end of the day tomorrow, this is back together and I can see if it's good or not. Here we are going back together, and I'm mostly filming this just as a record for myself. So everything's torqued properly. All the bolts are in there, 75 foot-pounds, blue Loctite, new pilot bearing. Everything looks good. Wipe off this flywheel and let's stick the clutch on. Clutch is on. All these bolts are tight and torqued. Pull the alignment tool, it came out nice and easy, so we're looking good. Yeah, I think I actually am gonna set the transmission back up in here first and then put the bell housing on. That's the way I took it apart, and that was way easier than what I did have to fight it together the first time, so keep moving. So here we go, it's the next morning. Before I let it down off the ground here, fire up. I was up too late last night working on it, got it all back together. Initially, it seems way better. Let me spin it in here and wrap it up. That's where I can feel it coming through the steering column before. perfect. That is awesome. So hopefully, shut it off here. Hopefully it's gonna stop raining here in a little bit and get it back down on the ground and take it for a little spin around. Oh yeah, before I do that though, notice the other day the fuel pump is leaking, so I'm gonna swap that fuel pump out real quick and then maybe take it for a test drive. Sadie's declaring the vibration problem fixed. We just ran it up through the gears out in the country here. Feels really good. Runs nice. Big problem next is alignment. I guess it's not a problem, but there's just never-ending list of things to do. So alignment, before I can really drive it very far. It seems to drive pretty straight right now, but I think the toe in's too much. So yeah, better get through this roundabout. All right, well, I just got back from picking this thing up from getting in alignment. It drives great, drives awesome. Vibration is dialed in. So to wrap this up, I guess I'm gonna drive it to work tomorrow and see how that goes. But I guess I wanted to go back and comment too on the Flywheel. I did put a bad review out there for Summit Motorsports, and of course they contacted me back and said I can return it even though I used it. I explained to them what the problem was, so hopefully they correct it. Nobody else has to deal with this, but I don't know. I'd be real leery of buying that specific part number they just put up there in the picture off Summit. So I don't know. I guess it's a lesson learned. Buy quality parts, you should be good. Buy cheap parts, and who knows what you're going to get. So thanks for sticking with it through figuring this out. I'm excited. It's now the middle of June. Hopefully I can start driving it this summer and keep on working on the little problems. But yeah, it's turning into a good car. Got to keep going. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, and we'll see what happens next.